All right, let's talk about something we all deal with, that nagging critical inner voice. In this explainer, we're going to break down the science of why those negative thoughts are so sticky, and more importantly, we're going to give you a toolkit of fast, science-backed strategies that actually work to stop them in their tracks. Ready? Let's get into it. Does this sound familiar? I mean, one minute you're just fine, and the next, bam, your mind hits you with a thought just like this. Maybe for you it's, I'm not good enough, or that sinking feeling that something is definitely about to go wrong. You know what I'm talking about. It's this incredibly common, and let's be honest, super frustrating experience. And look, how many times have you been told to just be positive? You know it's just not that simple, right? Trying to force positivity on top of a negative thought, it feels like trying to put a tiny sticker over a huge crack in a wall. It just doesn't hold. And that's because you're not just fighting a bad mood. You're actually fighting against some really powerful hardwired systems in your brain. Yeah, what we're really up against is this thing, the negative thought spiral. It's so sneaky. One little negative thought pops up, which triggers an anxious feeling, which then, of course, fuels another negative thought, and around we go. Before you know it, you're just trapped in this mental whirlpool that feels almost impossible to escape. So why on earth does our brain do this? And I really want you to hear this next part because it's a game changer. It is not a personal failing. It's not a flaw. It's actually your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Let's look at the three main reasons why. So first up is something called the negativity bias. The best way to think about it is like this ancient built-in alarm system. I mean, for our ancestors, constantly scanning for danger, a predator hiding in the bushes or a storm on the horizon, was absolutely essential for survival. Well, today, that same system overreacts to our modern stresses, treating an annoying email from your boss with the same urgency as a saber-toothed tiger. Second, our brains are obsessed with efficiency. They love shortcuts. So when you think the same type of thoughts over and over again, like self-criticism or constant worry, your brain literally carves out a mental superhighway for them. They become automatic. You're not even consciously choosing them anymore. They're just running on autopilot in the background. And third, and this one is so important, is a concept called cognitive fusion. This is that tricky moment when your brain gets fused to a thought. It takes a subjective opinion, just a random idea floating through your head, and treats it like it's an undeniable, 100% true fact. And that is why a simple thought can trigger such a powerful, real, physical, emotional response. For example, the thought, I'm going to fail this presentation, just pops into your head. Now, your brain doesn't react by saying, that's a possibility. Nope. Its instant reaction is, this is a fact. This is happening. And your body responds like it's true. Your heart starts racing, your palms get sweaty, all because your brain took a suggestion and treated it as an absolute command. So what do we do about all this? Well, here's the good news. The goal isn't to somehow magically make all negative thoughts disappear forever. Come on, that's impossible. The real, totally achievable goal is to get better at interrupting the pattern. It's not about suppressing thoughts. It's all about redirecting them. And the strategy is actually a really simple three-part process. First, you get better at catching these thoughts right as they're starting. Step 2, you do something, anything, to interrupt that automatic spiral. And third, you consciously and deliberately redirect your focus to somewhere more constructive. That's it. Catch it, interrupt it, redirect it. Okay, now for the really practical part. Here's your toolkit. 5 powerful, science-backed strategies you can start using the second you feel that negative thought spiral begin. These are your go-to pattern interrupters. Tool number 1 is so simple you might think it won't work, but it's incredibly effective. It's the name it technique. The simple act of putting a label on a thought or a feeling immediately creates a little bit of space, a little distance between you and the thought itself. So instead of being lost inside the feeling, you become the observer of it. You just say to yourself, okay, this is anxiety, or I'm noticing I'm having a thought about self-doubt. You can even say, this is just a thought, not a fact. This simple label reminds your brain that thoughts are not facts, and that directly weakens that cognitive fusion we were just talking about. Next up, you're going to put on your detective hat. See, most negative thoughts are based on wild assumptions, not actual evidence. This tool is all about putting that thought on trial and running a quick reality check. So just ask yourself these 3 powerful questions. Is this thought 100% true? Can I be absolutely certain? Second, what is the actual evidence for or against it? And then my favorite,
What would I tell a friend who came to me with this exact same thought? You'll almost always find that the logic and kindness you'd offer a friend is a powerful antidote for yourself.
Okay, tool number 3. Your brain does not like a vacuum. Just trying to stop a thought often makes it scream louder. So the key isn't just to get rid of the negative thought, but to replace it with something more balanced and, realistic. Here's a perfect example. Instead of that big, absolute thought, I'm not good enough, you replace it with something more grounded in a growth mindset, like, I'm improving with practice. See, this isn't about toxic positivity, like saying, I'm perfect. It's about shifting from a hopeless, dead-end statement to one that actually acknowledges reality and allows for progress. But what about those times when you're so deep in the spiral you can't even think straight, when you can't challenge or replace a thought? That's when you need a tool to pull you out of your head and back into your body, back into the present moment. And that's exactly what this grounding method does. Wherever you are, just stop. And mentally, just identify 5 different things you can see around you. Then 4 things you can physically feel, like the chair you're sitting on or the fabric of your sleeve. Then 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and finally, 1 thing you can taste. This simple sensory exercise forces your brain to hit pause on the thought loop and reconnect with the real world. And finally, we have what might be the most powerful tool of them all, overthinking and rumination. They feed on inaction. The absolute best way to interrupt the pattern is to shift into action. Don't wait until you feel better to do something. Go do something that makes you feel better. Send that email, work on that task for just 5 minutes, or just get up and move your body. Action is the ultimate enemy of rumination. So as we wrap this up, let's focus on the single most important mindset shift that makes all of this stick for the long haul. It really all comes down to understanding the true nature of your thoughts. This is it. This is the key. Those automatic negative thoughts, they're probably still going to prop up from time to time. That's just your brain doing its old survival thing. But you do not have to follow them down the rabbit hole. You can't always control that first thought, but you absolutely can control the second thought. And you can control your first action. That's where all your power is. And I want to leave you with this final powerful idea. Think of your thoughts not as commands that you have to obey, but more like suggestions. Suggestions coming from a very, very overcautious advisor in your head. You can hear the suggestion, you can say, hey, thanks for your input, and then you can choose to accept a different suggestion, one that actually serves you better. And realizing that, well, that changes everything.